Fambule munakushe unakabo this na Kontri Fos online TV where we don't promise una say go begin come to now for give the education we people them need. Inside Kontri Fos, we get plenty people that when they think about we country. We want to make Salone better. We want to make Salone able for compete with other country them. Now that make we come together and form the institution. We go pass the message we people and don't feel forgiven. Well, today we want to begin with broadcast by talking on this big wahala we don't reach we don't do every doorstep, every country. We get people them way there, master sabi people them. We go can rob mot. We don't want to take on a term because now we first broadcast this. We go rob mot and talk on how bad this thing is and waiting we as Salone people them get for do for make sure say we fight this spread. Also, we go hear from them, then go talk on waiting at the thing them way government do right and waiting at the thing them way government not do right. And also then go get advice for the government and the people then na Salone so that this thing will come out big na we and no go babala na we. Fambulem, I will start by introducing we panelists the way we get. I will start by introducing the lady them. I will start with Sister Eva Kuroma, way the all the way na Maryland. Tell Fambulem Adu.
Fambulem Unakushe. Mina Eva from Maryland, USA, a progressive NGC member.
All right, thank you very much. And we go over to we brother, we also be a soldier, a man we a fireman, Mr. Jesmet Suma, tell Fambulem Adu.
Oh, Fambulem Unadu, and as you know, Mina Jesmet Fodimami Suma. I always dinner on her face anyway, so thank you for having me.
All right, and also we get Ambassador Naya, Mr. Abukumba. We also be our ambassador. Tell Fambule Adu all the way from Boston.
The family, good morning, good evening, good afternoon from Boston, Massachusetts. This is Abukumba, also known as Ambassador Abu.
And we want for the opportunity, we brought away a call from Freetown, a guest. No day, and now they talk for Salone. And a man, when he talk, they say, wow, so we get Salone people and we know waiting Salone need. Mr. Alan Tu Bokumeziga, tell Fambule Madu.
Me Fambule Onadu, Mina Alan S. Tubokumeziga, the chairman for Civil Rights Defenders. We did for Feds for the people and the poor one them. The one where people can just seize advantage by where they go through some human rights abuses.
All right, we get a sister way in safe day, but I don't know what happened since I get blackout. We go one for you from Sister Janet Mata Musa.
Hey, well, this is Janet Mata Musa. I'm a strong NDC woman, and today we get for can give people information we could be beneficial to them.
We get we chairman and leader of the NGC UK and I, Mr. Alan Luke. You go tell Fambulem Adu, and we go start with you for make you rub more on this COVID-19 with which in Sierra Leone. We can't keep him prepared. Government be really prepare, and that's not the question. But before you begin, introduce yourself one and tell Fambula Adu.
Fambula, good evening. Mina Alan Luke, the United Kingdom. Mina the chair for NGC in the United Kingdom and Ireland. So my own view on this business is that all the countries of the world not being prepared because COVID-19 obviously not a new disease, not a new phenomenon. And I may go call it a pandemic. That's something we don't happen before. So we not get treatment for them. But my own concern around the things that we government get the ability for put policies there in place and also for plan. And for me not see much planning going on in Sierra Leone. So I think for start, I think we've been getting too much of an obsession with zero case. So the whole country, all my minutes talk say we for day in zero, for stay in zero. Then we put all that on Facebook, stick a thing the way you shows you support zero case. But it not makes sense Non-country at the world in the face of a global pandemic to achieve zero. Nobody not to give you first prize for get 0 cases. And I understand the sentiment and the feelings about Ebola, but government supposed for the plan. Government not just sit down, nobody wait for just hope say we go get 0 case. We also can remember that first lady in video, we talk about, I and husband are the only president who achieve 0 case. That just showing how the government is confused in policy. For me, the government for consider say we country depend too much on imports. We're not able to feed ourselves. Because we're not able to feed ourselves, it means say we rely on goods coming from outside of the country. We rely on expats, then they come. We rely on diasporas, and they bring their money cancel. So that means that you cannot really close down all your borders. What it mean you for do is you for put in place the measures to make sure there's effective testing in all your border ports. And you for make sure that there's effective quarantine. For Salon, what do we do with quarantine? We make it look like I say where you go quarantine, you go jail. So what's happen when then people come to America, we then go to home. All manners are they say, yeah, lock them up. Waiting and they can't do now we country, then this kind of bring this disease kind of country. But all that means is people then become very suspicious of the whole quarantine process. So they always get good sababu, then make sure say, you go talk to a big brother or we get connection at the government, you know they go quarantine. Or if you did it, then they can't pull you there. You see. Then what does that mean? Then the next thing we'll do is we'll begin for hunt, more or less breach people in privacy. Then first 2 case. Look what we plaster that man in wealth and into picking all over social media. We say we get right for no who that them be. So what did that mean? They always get good stuff, the brother in that ministry, brother and that civil servant. It go make sure say in name they're not put on this. So instead of they come, even when they get symptoms, it is afraid for camp. It is afraid for talk. They died. So what did happen with all of that? The disease is spread among with people then, and we'll not even know. You see, so that's the fundamental thing that we'll begin for creating at the country. Then, if you look, we'll lock the borders. What did happen? People don't just use other routes. Then they use around then Cambia, Koinadugu, all them places, and they will borders them very, very porous. When you stop people coming through Pamela and the crossing points are in Liberia, or if you don't put you quarantine and you testing them there, you could reduce the risk of people bringing the disease. But when you begin lock borders without think about it, all the lily backyard village, the Nakambia and Koinadugu, they can and get quarantine at them place them there. Get no testing going on in those places, you see. Then we can do 3-day lockdown. What have been the sense of the lockdown? We do lockdown 3 days, but the incubation of the disease is longer than 3 days. So what do we achieve with that lockdown? And then we get slum communities then. We just the falamaka to it and they do overseas. Then say social distancing, then say self-isolating. How you the self-isolate if you didn't have palm body and on a 15 day na the house? How you the social distance na then slum community na back of Kutonwood and other places? You can't. It make them very, very difficult. So for me, we've been learned from the experience of Ebola. Bring that expertise in. Again, this is now another point. What's happened when the government try to engage with them, we get that know-how from Ebola. Next day, then talk say Paulo don't commit treason. You see how they scupper things? So what we don't do with this process is instead of planning to prevent the disease, we allow politics to come in. We allow people in self-interest for coming. And now what we get is a system where nobody knows for trust. So the whole system don't break down. So if the disease grow and become uncontrolled, we're not getting real effective means for controlling. That line I'm your concern from a planning and policy making point of view.
Okay, Sister, hello, we go to Janet Martha Musa. You don't hear Mr. Alan Luke say. What do you feel as some of the causes then we make government not able for put them thing in place?
Well, like Alan just don't go through all of outside the government don't fail for put planning into place. they for don't look from other countries. And something the way Alan said very important, this idea of the social distancing and stuff like that. For me, that's really, they don't say that it's not going to be achievable. But the other thing again we want to look at, they talk about hand washing. You're thinking that the president, after that 3 days lockdown where they've been get, he did make mention of lack of water. There's a water crisis in the country. So how people then get for the wash their hand when are one of the ways around in the for prevent this virus for enter your mouth, your nose. They say wash your hands as frequently as possible. But then there's water crisis there. And so we remember say after that 3 days they went and get that lockdown day. The president for them begin look at community from one community to the other for try to see how they manage the water situation. You know, but that not fall into place. And then the other thing again where I feel to say we're scary for me now. It's about when you say person on die. Then it's in after when the person die, now then find out say the person be get COVID. So you ask yourself now, then nurses then there's no evidence of them being equipped with personal protective gear, nothing at all. So you can just see how this virus will spread in no time, you know. When you look at a country like Ghana not been go through Ebola. For Ghana, the moment where you say this thing on for different countries around the world, they begin prepare themselves little by little. You find out say when they get the how many days lockdown, they go from community to community for help people. Yes, you lock them down for 3 days. Some people and they don't get money, you know, and to what they live by. How was government prepared to support these people at their own backyard outside the day? I mean, these are all the areas then where I feel to say government really failed for looking to very quickly. You know, first of all, the hand washing business, the water business, we're lacking at the country. The protective gear for the frontline workers. We don't see many deaths around the world for nurses and doctors and stuff like that. Ebola don't teach we lost so many doctors. So I think to say they did it very quickly before even they talk about the zero case and everything. Therefore, don't begin to put them things into place because after all, the EU been sent some consignments into Sierra Leone sometime at the end of mid-March or towards the end of March. People for them begin to say have been properly trained. In fact, I don't want to waste nobody in time, but I just want to say I saw something the other day that was impressive. When in America, the people, doctors and then they talk to somebody through Zoom about waiting for do with a COVID patient. I think that was brilliant. I feel to say if they use that methodology there, or that method there rather, for link with the Western world and for the show nurses them how for attend to COVID patients, maybe we could see success. But you know, there are too many things wrong.
All right. We want to give opportunity to Mr. Alan Tubokumeziga because in the from Future we know how the internet business did it. Mr. Tubokumeziga, you then at the ground. What's in the lab system where you don't see? How people and they take this thing down there? And I want to make you tell me how the other political party them involved in this. Because this fete in not for be one side, now all Solomon fete. So what's in the thing that we don't see the lapses of the government, how prepared were they, or how prepared they are now, and how the Salon people and take this?
Thank you very much, my brother, and thanks to all Sierra Leoneans where they listen now, and thanks to all my colleagues there where they're online, where they are guests. I know some of my colleagues have already done shed light on some of the areas of lapses. I'm not going to go ahead again and repeat. I shall say the government from the beginning, as we all say, this sickness a new phenomenon, but not a new thing like we did not experience such a virus before. We don't experience Ebola, so that for don't give you an overview on how to handle some of the situations and they, because we know say from the beginning of this corona, we all be glad to say Salon not get corona, Salon will never get corona, but there was a lapse somewhere. Hello?
They get you.
All right. We've been glad the whole world being actually they take Salon like an exempted place, whereas I mean a safer zone all anything and but I think say everybody the point finger on the last flight where being come that Jalo Bobo, where then be later published in entire family name on the radio, social media, all sides, and say get corona whatsoever. I think that plain way being can not that been cause the problem. And there was already a ban. So why government be actually allowed the flights they for coming? That was why one problem. That was the first problem where we began experience. Because before that, we not being anything like corona and alone. All right. So the problem don't be. So what we need for doing now? We realize it again. A lot of people then it can surprise me and shock me for see people that are of high standard. They request for the identity of those guys who were corona infected, like Sylvia Blyden, who is a medical doctor. I go call him there because now a public figure and he talk na public, so I get for respond to the public. Instead, they insisted and get for therefore publish the names or then for show the names of people that were being infected with COVID-19, which for me it was wrong. If it's in a medical doctor, they request for the names of them people that were being infected publicly. I think that was a minus on her side because I'm not a medical person, but in actual fact. The person get for the approval if you for publish a name for say get ABCD because the stigma alone will kill a person. And I think some of them have been on they follow me up on social media, challenge some of their issues and I not say the government continue to announce the names of the people that were being infected because it was totally wrong. That person they can even take a legal action or your family can take a legal action against them, right? Because now let's go to like the border crossing where my brother Alan talk about, also that was a serious problem. People they come out Guinea, then they come out Liberia for coming inside Salone. And we get a lot of porous borders in the Salone. Now, when you take a look at all them porous borders there is a serious challenge for Salone. Where outside the problem, then a lot of people, they know they identify the problem. The problem are with health workers. How many doctors they will get in Salone? Because for me, if I talk about qualification of doctors, now the doctors I would consider the doctors are they attending to the coronavirus patients them? Because I don't visit some hospitals them as part of my normal jobs of investigating and see what's in the happen. I see say a lot of them people them there, the nurse they not even know how to attend to them. A simple scenario now waiting happen at Choi Tram Hospital. We all hearing on social media, a medical nurse they go tell somebody say get coronavirus when not even test them. Somebody just say get pain na in operation. It tell and say you get coronavirus. Stigma alone can kill a lady. The frustration, the stress, and all that in the day. So in actual fact, they will not that with medical workers, they need a lot of training. And from that time when they announced the 1 week allowance, 1 million, from there we don't begin to see the case and don't begin to shoot up. That's the cause for concern. I don't draw the attention of all the authorities that they need for look into that keenly because it is far too long. For me, could begin to see Sierra Leoneans and they call people and say they get coronavirus because they're not going to make the first one. I know a few guys them are going to attire base. Some of them guys have been driver during the Ebola. They guys and they pray God for me corona escalates more and more that then go get job. Can you imagine that? So I mean I don't know how they heard from a salon. The poverty rate they even cause people invite problems in our nation. Because if we say corona not where they kill, then people and they say no, make corona come. We even want people begin to build centers then. Because me not driver and not get anything for do so if corona can go get work. Even the nurse themselves, I will not be surprised if we get nurse them when they actually escalate the idea say make corona spread and they give wrong figures. So now that make a call on the ministers, the deputy minister, the chief medical officers, and the EOC when are the military people them, may they actually team up Trangawa or else some of them medical people then go sabotage the whole fight against corona because this is a serious problem for now what they face in our country. If every day they receive the case they increase, I think say a proper check testing must be done because some of them not and they mean not trust them at all. Just an example, now just waiting happen na Choi Tram. Then a tea break or coffee break, now one of the radio station, we see somebody go give a testimony. So we get a lot of testimony all around the place. Every day people and they accuse people and say they get corona. But when they go do a test, they don't get corona. So that it tells you, we medical people they say they're not prepared for this thing and they don't get no idea. So remember, Salona, the only place now enough for sneeze, for cough. When you cough, you sneeze, you get corona definitely.
Your phone go on mute. So unmute your phone.
Now mute him. Unmute, Mr. Tubokume, you don't mute your phone.
Oh.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, sorry, there was an interruption. So in actual fact, for make we were able to do this fet here, I think the big one they need for Tide and Oja, like the medical doctors. Because if the medical doctors they said now then they're afraid for really attend or see them patients and the way they say they get corona because they're all afraid. Honestly, they're afraid. Then they're really afraid with medical doctors there. I don't see one or two scenarios, I will not name names here. But honestly, with the ask the minister, the deputy minister, the chief medical officer, made them one. And
Okay.
all this with the one made them put soldier man them where they assign on the CEO or EOC, made them in some of the hospitals and be sure say because I trust the soldier, I trust the military that when they assign them for do something they would run to the fullest. Because police, we all see the lapses of the police on the 3 days lockdown. I not trust the police when it comes to the fight against corona. Because the police then they just want the opportunity to brutalize the civilians and try to do their own thing their way. But the military, I go commend the military.
Thank you very much. Let's go over to Mr. Jesmed F. Suma. Mr. Suma, you don't hear Mr. Alan Luke, Mr. Alan Chubokumeziga in talk. It don't raise up some points them. You and Posse don't go free to recently to them. And what you feel say now some of the problem them for like you see we they get nurses and doctors them we they afraid the system them like this way we don't get this coronavirus don't scatter us alone. What you feel say the reason, the cause for make when it comes to health, people are afraid at this point?
Well, we get for members say, as some of the previous speakers and don't note, this coronavirus is a very unique virus where most countries have not been prepared for. But that notwithstanding, Salone just experienced Ebola. So maybe they expect say any serious government for them make sure say he gets himself ready in terms of emergency response unit within your government. And with respect to this corona, not a thing we just start overnight. It takes months. We don't see how China they battle them. We see how that one they transfer go into Europe. We see how America able for begin for experience them thing. And considering the fact say Salone gets a very strong connection with China, and most importantly, the error of judgment of the current government for allow 30 Chinese men them for coming to Salone, where the rest of the world be they shut them down, shut them doors them to Chinese them. It should say it's not a matter of ill equipment, not a matter of not knowing what is happening. It's a matter of failure of leadership. Because leadership is one when you're able to do things out of very small challenging situations. And in William's situation, we don't get the experience of Ebola from previous experience. So I don't see no reason why them for allow Chinese them for coming. That is one point. The second point is the fact that say because of they not take this matter serious, they not been planned for them. We not only allow the Chinese them for come, but most important, when they say in the ban flights them for coming, the people that way coming, you do go quarantine people and you not prepare for them. I write an article on this issue also. When me are not against the issue of the quarantine, it was essential and necessary for them to quarantine the entire nation. But quarantine the entire nation requires prior planning. As some of previous speakers and don't mention, the issue of water, the issue of food feeding in every nation, especially like advanced nation in Aya, when they say quarantine, like this how we do so, within a lockdown, the entire state is locked down. But the essential stores, they sell food. Then inside they make sure they get a coordinated approach, with inside they open. And you go lock down people the way they live day by day, and then cluster as a specific area, you don't make provision how to supply them food. Then the most important one, because I don't want to take too long, is the fact that say we Salone government do not allocate 20 billion loans, which is equivalent to almost $2 million. What did they do with that money there? World Bank don't give them $7.5 million. What did they do with that money there? Now we don't get supplies from WHO. We don't get supplies from China, from the billionaire Ma, although the Chinese equipment don't prove to be faulty. And we don't get them from there. So the question is, why is it that the government, not the institute, nationwide testing facility process? And the testing process not necessarily for me saying for test each and everybody for corona. You can start the preliminary testing wherein they do random vital sign testing, especially in terms of temperature, where will be the initial point where we're able for use for determining whether somebody needs further testing. But you can't concentrate the testing in one location at Freetown. Somebody go get symptoms na Kabbalah. By the time they take them from Kabbalah to Freetown, obviously they go to infect multiple of people. Then. So the message you want me to get for people and let them bracing for more coronaviruses victims and for come up, because a lot of people in this salon right now will get coronavirus in them, but the system, they make them impossible for let them come up, and the government not seem to forget any strategy in place for able to identify them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jesmet Suma. Ambassador Abu, you know, person where recently we don't see they make videos them, they ask government for step up in so many areas them. What in one or two things where you notice say the government lack in this fight against the spread of this COVID-19 inside the country? What thing you don't notice say they not do? Just two things, and then give an advice on how them for implementing and for help them and help the people of Salone.
Thank you very much, my brother. First of all, thanks to all the previous speakers. The Salone people, one thing where government lack, I will always say this for sure, previous government to current government, infrastructure. You see, where we get money from NGOs, then we get all kind of money, blah, 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 so they misuse them. We not get medical infrastructure, like the previous speaker, they don't talk, we not get water system infrastructure, we not get certain things in place where any kind of problem can go for resolve. One of the things where I've been mentioned by me earlier, so many government can begin 1 month or more lockdown. People they say, oh, that's a bad idea. I say, yes, bad idea. You get for suffer now, but you get for prevent a lot of people for dying in the future. But the other thing too, where bug the crap out of me, excuse me language. Now, where the government you don't worry about this sickness since last year. Since last year, we don't worry about this sickness here. So we know since sickness can begin spread. China, where that China will supply the world Boku asked them, they get part of this sickness here. We as Floridians then, we get past Ebola facilities then. Since the past government has suppressed Ebola condom, all the facilities in them, they dismantle them. Most carry all the part they pump oil. All the ambulance them, the hospital, different facilities, all dilapidated. Why? Because Solomon leadership is so minimized. We're not gonna maintenance mentality for something done for maintenance keeper in process for help the country. Where this sickness come? What the government for don't do? The government for don't call every political party involved. The government for don't call all medical doctors, nurses, people that want to have a specialty in the medical field. Bring the best minds of Sri Lanka together. Say this they come. What can we do? Not to one government get all the brains or knowledge on how to solve things. We get people that will get knowledge, we get experience all over the world. Reach out to Sri Lankans. What can we do? Other countries that do them. I'll never give a lot of information like Rwanda. What did Rwanda do? Rwanda's the way this happened. The government makes sure it contact different people then. Not to just the political party where they empower for a sort of issue. We bring all man together. What can we do? How can we do? They create a whole special forum just for focus on the healthcare of the people. Then. How to approach them? What do they for do? Now people in their host now Rwanda, but guess what? They give them food. Why? Planning. When the government can have power, they forget about every single thing that happen. They never focus on other things. They forget for saying the most important thing: food, health, electricity, water is not available. We go spend billions of millions of dollars on free education. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to get education, but if you don't get health, you don't get food, you don't get all the basic necessities, the education for no side that's suffering again for suffer. That said, right now the government still get opportunity for transform the country, we're in for call on all the different leaders and for me to come, bring knowledge, ideas together. More control this coronavirus here. So in 3 days lockdown, it was a child play, like my brother, it was a child's play. Why they go do 3 days lockdown for do a test? For see how people go react? And now they say, oh, now we're coming from one district to another district. Okay, what next? They need to get a plan in place. There's no plan in place, and the leaders need to coordinate and communicate with people. So say, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. That pre-planning for the in place. They not get that. We lost valuable time as we talk. So and the saddest part, all the infrastructure that we get, we need to put them all live and back on track. From the Ebola time. And unfortunately, resistance don't begin come. It don't begin with us alone. All the signs of symptoms of corona, people that can get them. The cold, the fever, the malaria, the headache. All that they can't begin get something, rise up. Now, when one person sneeze or get cough, oh my God, begin strike. Hey, that man corona gets without even if it's a corona, the panic they can begin increase. The government need to step up itself, call on different health and facility and different health and people there, but already put our system and structure in place. But let's guess what happened. By the time we begin to go, people that will get sick, even the regular small sick will become transformed into something worse. So at the point right now, so it's very difficult that we see the country where they so some of who don't speak up or honor, so don't speak up about this. And if the government already try to work with every other people that are out there, trust me, at the end of the day, guess what? I'm sorry no more go for suffer. Right. But the other thing too, I want the salon people that for take responsibility of their health, take responsibility of your life, not just in our government. Yes, government for do something for you. And you like this. If you don't eat the right food, you don't prevent them from beginning go slide and for go slide there, begin to hang out, begin go mingle. It says stay in our house. It says this is distancing. Do one. Salon people, when I understand one thing, you life not get not to government get them. Government not do what you need to do. Would not do what you need to do. Eat right food, take the medicine, vitamins, do everything possible to protect yourself. In the meantime, until God bless, the right leadership will step up. And I guess what we'll change the country and put things in the right place.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll go over to Sister Eva. You don't hear waiting, Mr. Abukumba don't talk. And you not possibly in the medical field. Waiting now you advise to the nurses them where they out there for make sure say and I think for the play with people that way sick and all that thing. What you advice on how them for protect themselves well? Because, for instance, if they not get the proper kit, they not get the proper training, then self can be carriers and can go home and can go to them people them, can go to them community. So what is the step where you get for them, especially the healthcare people them, the one who they drive ambulance or anything? What is your advice to them?
Thank you very much. May I begin first for talk about what's in a coronavirus. Coronavirus na an airborne disease where mostly they end up for affect your lungs. And when it affects your lungs, they end up for incapacitate you, not for able for breathe properly. And as a result, your difficulty for breathe, it can so bad that you're not able for sustain adequate oxygen level in your system. And as such, you will end up for need a ventilator where a lot of people they call life support system. Well, in the country now, so we not get enough of those things. I know even things that we get up to 15 ventilators at this point in time. Most times it can be mild to moderate respiratory illness, but if you get comorbidities like heart disease, like diabetes, like cancer, it will make you more vulnerable for get COVID-19 easily when you come in contact with somebody who get the illness. So what you will for do? When you then are public, first of all, they tell you say no go outside 2 or 3 or 4 people then day. But Africa outside with this so now, a lot of houses them or homes them get inside one room we can get 4, 5, 6, sometimes even 10 people then at that same room day. Small pan body can get a lot of people where did it. Now morning can't see how many people they come out of them homes then they. So are you go able for make sure say you don't do social distancing quote unquote now such homes? It will be very difficult. So waiting like if you gonna get bathroom, most of them homes then are one toilet then get. That's it, an outside toilet. Una go try for go one at a time for use the toilet, clean them the best way una can, then the next person go inside it. For the one that were in a hospital, the nurse system, PPE is very, very important. Without PPE, this sickness will spread like wildfire in Hamatan. Una get forget una gowns, una get forget una gloves, una get forget una masks, even goggles you need forget. And you therefore make sure, say, when you put your mask on, it cover not only your mouth, it cover your nose as well. Many times they watch 98.1 Radio Democracy. I can see they can get guests and people that were there in charge of this COVID-19. It can so embarrassing. You see them sit on this so. Then get the mask, but the mask stay not in chin. You know, they nowhere close to the mouth, talk less of the nose. So as healthcare professionals, Salon, we therefore make sure, say, we don't don them PPE there properly. Put her on well. Put your gloves on well. Put your mask on well. And there's even a way for take your gloves off after you don't use them. You don't get for put your hand inside for pull the glove. You get for hold the glove now the palm of your hand and pull them, drum towards you and pull them out of your hand. And then you use the same technique for pull the other glove. If not to that, you go easily transmit the sickness. And more so, after when you done your work for the day, when you go home, make sure say your uniform ready for you. I know say that they get gowns or protective gear in a job, but trust me, your uniform say for you they wear, you know, for believe say it clean. As soon as you reach na house, if you pull that uniform, they right away, maybe from your domot safe. Ask you begin and make them give you other clothes for wear. Pull the uniform and try for wash them. Don't take it into the house. And when you get na house, not shake you picking a hand until you wash your hand. Not make them hug you until you take a shower. Now then after they ask you for try for do. And they also got for be mindful where people then go hospital where they sick. Just like our one of we guests and talk just now. Not to all man get for go with headache or fever. Where you go talk to a coronavirus it gets because not to the first 10 these people don't they get fever. Not to the first 10 they don't they get cold and stuff like that. So when they go hospital, you really got to be mindful. You got to forget the real technique for test them. Make sure say when they go hospital, you know they just go and conclude hastily say na coronavirus they get. You got to forget all the modalities in place for beyond all reasonable doubt for sure say indeed na coronavirus they get or not to coronavirus they get. Because if not begin for say na coronavirus they get where they not get them, people go be scared for going to hospital for go check. They're not go. Then go stay home and maybe death will come meet them where it not be necessary for make it meet them. So we have to be lenient. The education has to be out there and constant hand washing at least every 20 minutes is very, very important. Whether it be healthcare professionals or people out there, you have to be washing your hands. That can't be overstated. You got to wash your hands and make sure say you stay away from people where you think say a potential for getting kind and disease they did. So I stop there for now. And some of the symptoms them make I just run more on this. Some of the common symptoms them for COVID-19 now like fever, tiredness, dry cough, body aches, nasal congestion, runny nose, sore throat and diarrhea. Then thing that all people don't they get them before, even before COVID-19 they come. So you see outside the confusion in there as to who that get COVID-19 and who that not get. So it is the burden of proof on the healthcare professionals for really distinguish who that get the sick and who that not get the sick by doing the right test for diagnose them people there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the contribution where you give, and that's a very good contribution for especially we brothers and sisters that within the healthcare. And I want to reach over to Mr. Bashu Vandi before I go to Sister Janet. I know saying for go, but before I go to Mr. Bashu Vandi, now we hear from Sister Janet because again for going on that program. Now we maybe get a last word, a word of advice for we and the people and the government of Salon before it go, because again for doing another program. Then after we go get Mr. Tuboku Meziga also we in a free tongue day. So Sister Janet.
Well, you know, DJ Million, thank you so very much. I just also want to say to Sister Eva, I mean, everything where you don't say so, I think that will be the way forward. The protection for the nurses and the doctors them, and also for being advise the citizens of Sierra Leone, we people them, not to all thing where you either actually or this wrong hospital. Because now, even a yaso they so safe. If you call them, they will tell you say, stay home. and manage your symptoms.
Symptoms.
Yes. So I think to say that one day now going forward, we say for the we for the tell people and the quick sister if I don't clearly state out waiting and even some of the things and the way we nurses and stuff no and when sister talks about wearing the mask, Mr. Don't say I'm not a professional medical professional person, but you could just say how would you be protected by the way you in. And so I think a lot of teaching is necessary. And things sister even maybe when we come back another time we could really spend time to show how they wear the gloves, how they pull them, because ordinary people that say they wear gloves and they go out. And the other thing I watch now, one program I watched recently now about people believing that when they wear the gloves when they go out they are safe, but our gloves the way you wear go out, so you can pick up the
like
virus.
The mode of transmission.
Yes, and then you bring come home, and then you feel say you're safe. So we therefore also speak on these issues, and I would just say, if we don't get this PPE in very quickly to the hospitals, for protecting nurses and doctors, it's going to be a tragedy, and this is not what we want. We've gone through Ebola before, so we feel to say some kind of training in place for prevent a catastrophe we're not going able to handle. So DJ Miller, I'm not going to stay too long. I just want to say to people in Sierra Leone, keep on a mask up, on a wash on our hands them, on a use on a gel them for rub on a hand on. I see some people in the use alcohol and stuff like that. And let's just follow all the guidelines where government are put into place where they're out there. And it says stay home, keep safe. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, my sister. Before I call Mr. Bashir Vandi, you there with me because you can't late, so you get for patient with too small. I want to go over back to Mr. Fode just met. Suma, we talk about this the lockdown, all right, and we see recently we get small draw and fit on the concerning this state of emergency where the government, the big parliamentarian, them said, yeah, government and president's been called for state of emergency, where they may get for debates in the parliament, where at the end of the day, they've been promising they will come back. But waiting happen, we see say, and turn the people of Salondon, and we are plenty thing way happen. What thing are you take on that state of emergency where they mean categorically state say now for the fight against this COVID-19?
Well, first of all, the state of emergency gets some very extensive powers. If you look into the sections of the Constitution where they accord the powers of a state of emergency to the president, it's even more powerful than a dictator. It's not powerful than a military government, because the military government, they usurp your power. But in this state of emergency, they actually surrender your power to the president. You get the right and the power for suspending the law. You get the right and the power for changing the law. And no tribunal, according to the state of emergency, no court in alone can question. It can arrest anybody without any questions. You're not supposed for, you have the obligation for explaining to anybody. Now that make the Constitution say when you declare a state of emergency, you get up till a maximum of 7 days for get ratification from the House of Parliament. If Parliament is in session. If Parliament not in session, you get up to 21 days for ask Parliament permission for let you go continue beyond the 7 days period. Now, the Constitution also say the powers of the state of emergency can start from 1 day to 1 year. So which means the powers for determining the extent of the state of emergency being then at the hands of the House of Parliament. It was a big error of judgment on the parliamentarians for letting go allow the president to get that kind of powers there for 1 year for just a medical emergency. Indeed, there is need for for the state of emergency because there are certain things the way the government supposed to take, where you go get for tread on certain constitutional rights. For let the government, president get the right to do that, it be need for give them the state of emergency. But why 12 months? Why not 30 days? Why not 60 days? Why not 90 days? Because for extend them, it takes less than 24 hours. If there is reason and rationale for extend them, then in the House, the Speaker will just call members of Parliament for let them come in someone, then table the need for extension. In fact, if they make them 30, 60, or 90 days, then they go give reason for let the president go check the exercise of that power there, because you know, say, if you abuse them to a certain extent, you come back to Parliament, parliamentarians then go say no, because you need 3/4 majority, which means the opposition has all the cards at their hand for letting them go deny the president that authority there, but they abuse them. Then sign the covenant with people and way I go say that then thirsty for power. It's like when wolf they hungry for extra power. They go see and say, go take care of me, goat for me for 12 months. They expect that goat say for survive for 12 months. That was an error of judgment. Now there was a discrepancy as to whether the government need for come back to the House of Parliament for approval in terms of the rules and procedures and regulations where they govern that power day. There is no such thing in the Constitution. There is no such requirement in the Constitution. So the parliamentarians made a big error. The president has the mandate for pass any rule, any regulation until 90 days. But 90 days before he come back to Parliament for extension. So that make the powers itself supposed to have been limited to 90 days. Because the regulations and the rules where the president need for new way they delegate the powers into everybody, you don't get no obligation for come to Parliament to ask for act and permission for that as long as you do it within 90 days. So that was a big error of judgment.
You want for go, you get any last word advice to government?
Well, first of all, in terms of the area of the state of emergency,
yeah,
the Parliament still gets some powers for force the Speaker of Parliament for table the entire bill back in the Parliament for let them go for review. Now that make when the power they know that. Now that make immediately then give them the power of the state of emergency. They suspend Parliament because they got the power for do that. I don't surrender all things to them. I know. They pray God let no Parliament, nobody in Parliament, not ever make this kind of mistake again and not make so. Now, in terms of the fight of the virus itself, the article was right. I've been recommend say prior to even the closure, when make them as a minority this year so, therefore don't put together a crash course, because even doctors and nurses themselves don't know the standard and procedures then for handle this particular virus, because it's so unique that even doctors and the advanced country now, they all fall victim. How much more we owe people in us alone? So then for them do some crash a crash course where they bring doctors and nurses then together, train them if now for 1 week, 2 weeks, and give them enough stipend and incentives, and then what? Deploy nurses them across the limited nurses that we get. Deploy them by districts and different areas them. Give them incentives so then do random.
Well, I'm not cut you out, but I remember saying this government always say how they will not give pin codes to 5,000 nurses. So when you talk about the limited, so I wonder instead of nurses here go.
Exactly. Well, now them for encourage them nurses them for come back, beg them, give them enough salary, give them enough incentive, give them enough PPE, and set up testing centers at different locations around the world. Then testing TSO, the testing kit themselves, not too much sophisticated stuff. For as small as $5,000 or $10,000, if you're able to get a testing kit sunside, even if not sunside for pick up the sample themselves. So they don't need for bring everybody kind of return for goodness sake. Then forget quarantine centers in a different part of the country. There is enough money for that. But $9.5 million, but that $9.5 million, now can't tell me so around squander that one day within this short period. They're going for set up quarantine center at the east, at the south, at the north, at the northwest.
in Western area and different locations in the Western area. Not to 34 no more than the way name. Now because they not take this year serious, because if they take it serious. Now you not take a scientist, you not for be a rocket science for know how for set up structures like the way so. You don't necessarily mean say any structure where you get to go, you go be foolproof. No, you go get mistakes here and there. But these guys are not even doing some of the basic things the way you expect say them for them to do now by now. In terms of, you can't use that one location no more, or people are not even know how for reach day. And people are afraid for going to hospital when they get malaria because they don't know the cost. And let alone you go talk about corona, where you not even announce for let them know it's not free. You not get a system where you go encourage them. You not get where you go able for maintain them. A whole lot of issues then, but but time they against we now, we're not going to delve into all of them here. So until we'll get subsequent programs them on this and other issues them as time goes.
Thank you very much. Yes, as we don't begin, so we will continue for the Bring and Come weekly to people then. I'll go over to Mr. Tuboku Meziga because in they spend more data before I come to Mr. Alan Luke, because I see only more a one for talk something concerning the state of emergency. And also before I go over to Mr. Bashir Vandi Wege for come tell me about the fear, where it is fear for the people in Salon, because instead of just come out recently now up the provinces them all. Mr. Alan Luke, what in we're doing this state of emergency when they declare we notice say the government don't play 1-2 and people them. What in have been the reaction dongly to the political party them and the people them in Salon?
For Mr. Tuboku Meziga then.
Tuboku Meziga, sorry.
You know, I get me name sick now the house. So all right. At the beginning of the program, I see you make mention about participation of political parties. I think that would be very interesting for make shed light on that.
Yes, go ahead.
And I think Mrs. Sabin really put smart pandeo politicians there and political parties, because when it comes to political activities, you see the kind where they can be active. And this time around, I was impressed by few of the politicians, like Dr. Kande Kole-Yumkela. I was really impressed because he come out from a comfort zone. This is a step out, and this is not the first time this. Even when the Ebola been there on, I've been monitor them, do the same kind of action. Even this time around, say where the corona guy takes the same action. I see even Alhaji Sam Sumana himself. I see if the APC, at least a good number of them, I see them in action, different MPs in different areas. Like some of the MPs that I was a little bit annoyed with them at first, but why I began put small on them because I say on a case I spend money during campaign, but why sickness like this don't come now? When another go on a constituency for actually go help on people, because if not that we don't do from the beginning of this year, believe me, we not for don't spread this sickness for don't spread the way they spread so. Because if all the MP then with all the copper where they get, they're not going to say, they sit down wait for Papa Bio, because Papa Bio will not be able to handle everything. He is not omnipresent. Why we get MPs them all around this country here? Did they let the people there for suffer? No, it's not possible. That place they will say they go, if you buy 5 bag rest, they say it help a lot of people, because this was what I was expecting. President Bio not being get the full stuff for actually shut down people, lock down people. Even the 3 days, it was very difficult. You can't say lock down people for 3 weeks. Who said they will come out food? Now, and to more people than they eat. So I was annoyed with MPs, with politicians, where they always need them people, then vote them. They're not able to go to their constituency for go buy 5 bag rest, 2 bag rest, share them by cups. Give people them buckets them for make them begin to wash their hand and buy soap. But at least at the ending of the day, I see say a lot of them, like Dr. Kande Yumkela, I see a good number of them. I see the participation of some of them with politicians, which was a very good one. And this we need for do. If that to be done from the beginning, we're not for them go to the level where they so today. But again, Lam just re-echo on we help people them. This they continue for make emphasis on this one, because I've been there doing the war alone. I participate greatly as a relief worker. Now the war alone. People them in the way they're not going to make the war done because they may know what they benefit from the war. Similarly, the same kind of thing they don't begin to see inside this corona year. And they emphasize that this is a public forum at the talk made a big one they hear. Some of them will know the way they don't begin promise and say that they give them 1 million loans every week. Believing me, some of them will get an intention saying they're not going to make corona done. Then in the past and tag people, they say they get corona. So the cases then go increase. And then therefore look into that very seriously. I'm very serious about it because I know what they see around, what they move around. Also, when it comes to this curfew, we don't see say 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning. When they say curfew, do you expect armed robbers at night? I don't think so. When there's a curfew, rather than for they in charge, now the police and the soldier, now therefore they in charge. But now they see a lot of reports from different districts around the country where armed robbers and they go people and they go for go thief them and they go harass them. So that also government get for team up Tranga and try for cop some of them situations there. Now what would they say? Usually they may say, oh, they go for 2 weeks lockdown. I think I come out hard on government. I said that 2 weeks lockdown, they may not go support the whole idea because government, if you get for impose that 2 week lockdown, you get for prepare food stuff. Now community areas them because government not been get the idea say we get WFP in this country, we get UN agencies in this country, we get international NGOs in this country, yeah. And we have them and they get warehouses and they get food now some of them warehouses they need. Why them food and then them warehouse them? Why government not go sit down with their NGOs and talk to them? Because these are emergency food stuff. Men then go now to some community areas the way people say the people cannot afford. Then we can go ahead with the lockdown. Again, I said engage the private sector, the business community. Make them reduce the cost of prices of them goods, the rest. Make government reduce taxes on them business people. So then we will sell at a cheaper rate to the people. But immediately they say lockdown, my brother. The rest when I 1,000, you go buy 3,000. I bought a packet of sugar, 20,000 leons, so I used to buy 10,000 leons. You can imagine that? A packet of sugar. So it was very terrible. Now the business people, then they take chance, and then they pray God and make government just stay locked down. Or make them say, one man go inside. Bread when I 1,000, they go buy 2,000, 2,000 or 4,000. So, I mean, government therefore sit down and actually talk with the business community. The EOC, because government has given the responsibility to the EOC. What thing they do? These are all strategies they need for sit down. But again, I wonder if they can listen to social media because most of their ideas and they would drop on the social media. Because for reach some of them people in the difficult, all the time they're busy. They don't get access to nobody. Some of the ministers say, they see some press releases, they say they're not ready for see nobody for now because of Corona. So why are you going to the office? Resign the job. They want the medical doctors and they go to the office. Then you say, like the land minister, see a video of the land minister here and deputy. They say they don't want to see nobody without an appointment. So you can imagine some of them situations. I have seen several of them ministers, they don't want to see nobody in their offices. So what are you in the office for? Not for serve the public. You get a face mask. They may have passed. Use a face mask. Use all the preventive measures. What the government does. But again, my brother, now God nanga for cover winners alone because we are really not prepared. All we do they do just they try no more. But honestly, the weaknesses are there. The challenges are there. We have not done anything like a swap analysis. Because if we know what happened in the Ebola time, we see what they happen now, I sure say we don't tie with Oja. But I mean, you know, we will not even do nothing absolutely because the health workers like the nurses, and they make emphasis on the nurses because they see there every day. Then they weaken the situation. So now that makes it see at the time for put more blame on the minister, the chief medical officer, and the deputy minister that they really need for do hard. They really need for work hard. Some of them health workers, may they really give them some training, just like when one of my colleagues say, may they give them some training. I think Mr. Suma will make mention of that. Because they don't get no idea. Even the medical doctors, like Dr. Bell, what they may say himself, they get. You know, he say get. He say suspect say get corona. So you can imagine that. And one interesting thing about Sierra Leone, corona not the kill. Where one doctor they tell me say, well, not to better corona, not that mild corona. Have we ever seen in any documentary say we get mild corona? So these are some of the questions that where they come up. Why corona not the kill people in a salon? Well, now one death's been there on recently where they say, oh, na corona, so they say no to corona. So we get a lot of disturbing news all around the place. People they need to come out and tell you exactly. Just like what's in the America and other countries around the world. If we have people ask for every day, Google day. I mean, go out and research, bring new presentation, train you nurse them, medical officers. Everybody get under a phone at the country. So make we get an idea. But if we not get an idea, how we will be straight. You don't know the location of your enemies. I go lay ambush. You don't know say for go launch your attack. So we know they actually have no idea. And when they ask the authorities, they may they actually help them with nurse them because they have no idea. I believe in nurse, according to principle and ethics, nurse for give more courage to the patients for making live long. But the attitude and the aggressiveness of them with nurse there, it even kill the patients. The stigma, then they put more stigma on them on the people. Then. Just like a canal, so I get corona, they begin put me name all about. The stigma, they kill me. Why you feel say HIV is enough for announce the patient? Because you get a stigma side of it. So now that make we the please ask the relevant authorities and make them relate team up Tranga one and some of their recommendations and what they heed, make them continue for take into consideration. It will help them greatly because this is new for all.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Alan Luke. I see at the mission at the Alan Mboku, Mr. Alan Tuboku Meziga, and I'm not saying not easy, you dare free time, but like I say, we get for the bring you come na this program frequently because me self na post really follow up you, you audio them, and then really they make sense. Now then kind people here we want for work with so that the people that will get the super message.
Thank you very much, my brother. Yeah. I'm always available, sir. I'll go back
to Mr. Alan Luke. I've been see say it must been the catch for talk on this how you call them this statement about this commission of inquiry.
State of emergency.
Yes, a state of emergency. Sorry, you see, now the money business now don't gonna be. Well, anyways, I want to make you rub more today, and what you want for say because I want to go over to Mr. Bashu Vandi. I get a special question for him because I'm already right for the NGC. So now I want to put him behind before I will call Allman for giving the last word. What's in your take on that state of emergency? Because I really want to forget your own point. With what I just made for the Suma be saying, you know, the MP them a big mistake they make. I see you only much. I'm not saying you want to defend your own side. Why don't I hear from you?
No, I mean, I totally agree with what Mr. Suma say. I mean, I think personally, say the state of emergency not be warranted at all, because all it's in the order on this conversation this evening. All it's in the way we talk about, either whether we talk about nurses that we not get the right training, we not get the right equipment, we not get the right attitude for do the work. Whether we talk about government, not to keep people in privacy and confidentiality, or the poor quarantine facility, all of those things that we're talking about. Whether we talk about people that we're in a pan body, with 10 people in our house, or we're in a big yard, with 20, 30, 50 people in our house, none of them in the absolutely none of them in the you don't need state of emergency for manage. In fact, when I have I've been having a conversation with somebody yesterday, we say, watch waiting for happen. This election for 2023 is going to be pushed back 1 year because of the state of emergency. See, this government is going to use the same reason why Ernest before him pushed the election back 6 months from 2017 November to March. I said this government is going to do the same thing because it's going to say we had a state of emergency and so therefore 2023 election needs to be pushed back. For me, it was a big error. It was a big mistake to allow a state of emergency for happen. My personal thing on that one is for my own political party. Sometimes I think we can stretch the idea of Kontri Fos too much, too far. Because me personally believe, say, we could be hold we ground on that issue. We should have been opposed to it from start to finish. And even if the combined APC and SLPP majority meant that our voice didn't count, we should have stood on principle to oppose that state of emergency. Because there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can see where the state of emergency they deliver, you know. All what we're saying now, since then get the state of emergency, is the government just to issue press release and just to govern by decree. Lots of press releases just to come out, no consulting, the press releases and just to come out. And some of the things I will say, like for example, Ambassador Abuwe he talked about the government need during this time for bring the collective talents of all Sierra Leoneans on board. You know, if you take an approach where say you know they consult, you just want to do anything your own way, you're not go able to forget that benefit of the whole Sierra Leonean population. So this whole state of emergency thing for me just defeats that. For me, it was just a simple desire to get power to do what you want to do and at any cost. So, you know, for me, that can forbid the government the undoing, because In a national crisis, you could be very, very unwise as a government, especially as a president, for take all the responsibility on your own shoulder. If you succeed, you will get the good credit for it. But if you not succeed, as we found with Ebola, you know, when people begin see the mismanagement of something, people then you go pay for them at the polls, you go pay for them at the elections, because the whole thing will be down to you and your own responsibility. You don't get anybody else for blame. I do not agree with that state of emergency at all. I think it was a wrong move. I know some other countries that don't do the same thing, but nothing in the planning, nothing in what Sierra Leone has done to date have I seen that merits the need of a state of emergency at all.
Ambassador, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I know you don't listen to plenty people that what they don't say.
Okay.
As a man, we always a cry, because I can call you, I say the cry baby. Always a cry to government. I remember one time when you make a video, the fact so something will happen. We don't see, we all know, we can't ski. We know they nowhere for able to fight this. And one thing we don't notice, now this coronavirus we don't happen to. Now something where people for open the eye and open the mind and think. Imagine, you know how many things go to stand still at the world? All right?
Yeah.
People never travel again. All man, they then patch away with it. If the system not been good, they could suffer today. All right? But they make sure say, one thing where they know they joke with now the constitution, when they guide for make the able push and country before.
Right.
All right? What thing are you on last word? So we people and government for make sure say them put in place in case something they will pass this coronavirus, we go make ship safe. Not they go na salon, plane safe, not go na salon. What thing are you advise to we government for make sure say Ebola don't come, we don't not come, we don't learn sense. Coronavirus don't come. Right now, nothing to work. What thing are you advise for them?
Brother, thank you very much. I have a very good question for saving in my mind. Very, very good. You see, one thing, Salon, we need for that mentality of beggar, that mentality of wait for other man for something for me to succeed. Salon is one of the richest mineral countries in the world. Resources, they've grown, it's nice, it's fertile. This coronavirus, one area for me, push to us Salon before. This coronavirus will make all man realize for everything. For being dependent by other country is failure. You as a country need for learn from sustaining somehow. One of the more aspects I tell the government, the money where they give, that 9.something million that they don't get to, only God knows what they get for do with that. Guess what? Focus on infrastructure, put the infrastructure in place. I mean, what the past government can do? We're not can broken down. We not add and build up on that. That's one of the secrets of Salon. We don't for build up on what the past government can do. All man for can start all over. Oh, now we do this, now we do that. No. We say APC don't left. Make SLPP continue. We say APC don't do. Make NGC can continue. When NGC don't do, that's how it's supposed to be. You build up on different things. But Salon now, when one person beat something, the other person I forget that APC behind it. Bam bam. No guys, make we build up the system there. 2, make all man begin think. Salon just use approximately less than 10% of we land. Make all man begin go to agriculture, feed yourself food, begin buy food, begin creating after Corona. More begin invest in agriculture, not to wait government can give money. Behind your house, begin grow your food. When begin think about the way we begin sustain yourself and food, we don't begin import food from China. Tomatoes, we need to import tomatoes from China. Seriously, tomatoes will take 1 month or less or few months for grow BAOs. You know, go buy it now from Chinese man for how much price? Or from overseas. Sierra Leoneans, let us start developing ourselves. More time for grow we own food then. Education is fine, but if you don't get a good health, no problem. More be educate yourself with mindset. If this corona teach you Australians will mind how to think about how to elect to leaders them, how to begin to take care of yourself, how to become selfless. So economy, the speaker said, Salomon, as a toxic corona don't come, price don't go up. Australians, are we that evil to ourselves with the student with the word? And why I talk, I get emotional, I say, hey, I would never cry. Because it's so sad for the fact that we should not say, When they see something bad happen, now they contribute may become difficult for people then and for ourselves. Why for begin increase price for things then? Government, yes, you need for regulate for say nobody will put a price above certain level because of a sicknesses that the government for step in place. But we are Sudanese that why for even increase the price for different items then for suffer we say. First one for buy one a cup press for 1,000 million, now you can put out to 3,000 million. You don't make it difficult on 3 times more now. We need to be empathetic to ourselves for say this is what happen. What if for people help the other person? If we should not become empathetic for each other, we forever get for suffer because now we know the job for look at this other man is suffering for helper. But very fast for big go. Very fast for hey, when I help you, but guess what? We just for can't help other person now, you don't for help the other person. So all this year, so with people I talk to now. Yes, I talk about government, but no matter what in government, do government. We the people that will begin to now begin to take stand for do something. Government have no choice. It came for follow suit. Yes, we put pressure on government, but a lot of people more begin learn for change the way they think, the way they act to each other. It's important. Not because for say, oh, Corona don't come now. Oh, the other person, oh, this person get Corona for begin quit commotion just because they can't give beaucoup salary. We not for do that kind of thing, and they will not destroy themselves. Remember one thing, you one person get Corona right now, and that one person, maybe not your family, but if your family get Corona or God forbid get sickness, what you go say? Now other person with that nurse do the same thing to your family. What you go say? What you go do? We need for begin think for put yourself in a situation for other people then. In that way, we'll be able to helpful hand to other people then. But if we begin thinking about self, trust me, we got a long way for go. Please, the people then. More come together, more begin think. Put up for begin elect as leaders then. How we for take care of yourself, with family, how we see each other as you as them. Nothing has foe, nothing has enemy, nothing for can begin gentle for the other person, but begin help. Because I help you, you help me, maybe I mean auntie me cousin, women don't see them for help, and you get for help for saving life one day. May God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Abu. Sister Eva, waiting at your last word as a Kumbra, where you again, you know, the medical side, waiting because when then can happen in our country, they work with the woman them plenty because we know say plenty mama then the way some of them are single mother them, they get for take care of plenty picking and get that worry day, you know, for take care of the beginning, not for going to places where they say sickness day, or how for give them the direction or for feed themselves. What are your advice as a mother in a salon and how them for take this thing serious?
Well, that's now a good question. You know, the sensitization I will for continue for do for teach you picking them. The food side now one whole story that of your self. Mama wedding are us in one grain with picking them. Man not there for help them for take care of them picking them. They wonder day and night. Also, you go get money for feed them picking them day. So you go see something and they just like how Ambassador Abu say so. If you don't use for plant small thing and bien we yard like cassava, like potato, like tomatoes, pepper, okra, anything and it will be very difficult as time like this, especially if the mama not get the money, outside they will go get food for it. If you get 2 or 3 or 4 picking them. Now a very, very sad situation. This so now make as a nation we for land for be self-dependent, especially where it comes to food. It talk and just not say we land them fertile. Just put small thing under the dirty. Inside 2-3 days, you will see you don't go. Before then say 1 month, you don't able to get a lot of yield from them. So we for land for the plants, land for the self-sufficient. We not go always depend on government for let government they do things then for research. Not we grab take cutlass and do the deal what able for do for at least we for sustain we and we family. Sensitization therefore continue. Studies they don't say this virus here na stubborn virus. It will survive on something like copper for up to 4 hours. It will survive on cardboard for up to 24 hours. It will survive on plastic and stainless steel for up to 2 to 3 days. So we got to be very careful. Mama teach you picking how for washing hand. Mama teach you picking how if you be very careful, not for the touch thing all over the place. Not for come close to people them, like how they always say. Clean surfaces with bleach, if you not get bleach, or soap and water safe cable for play the magic. Clean areas, because the more una clean, the more una become very, very cognizant of una surrounding, then the chance for not gonna get this disease, it will be less. And then if we try for plants and become self-sustainable in getting real food in our own backyard, I think it will help day by day. If not dry self or small lafidi, we will make them for we and we pick them for it. Until God help we say the sick done, it done, or also government able for subsidize for not able for people picking them. So now about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Alan Luke, I go, why are you being okay, I try for unmute you, but okay. All right, Mr. Alan Luke, being that you are the chairman, the current chairman of the UKNI NGC, I go want for make you last word be say you for tell we waiting una as the NGC don't do waiting at the sensitization, how una don't help the fight against the spread na salon and I think let people in here waiting una don't do, because maybe some people don't know say NGC don't play a role in this. Waiting una don't do actually.
I think I get for comment NGC as a whole, because NGC don't do boku tin them. One thing we appreciate now the way we all NGC chapters, branches, from the one that within our Fitong, the one that within the diaspora, all get involved. So the first thing obviously what we do now, where we put the instructions them out about how to wash your hands, make them videos then all the different languages then, so people then all parts of the country are able to understand, follow the instruction and see how to wash their hands. Lots and lots of people and don't share them videos and they and don't go out all in social media. So we say it's valuable information for people. Anything for help for do the public education is important. NGC also, early in the month, we don't do this massive drive for them Veronica buckets. All the NGC different diaspora branches, they all send money go to the local chapters. They also pull their own resources together, and I think we distribute up to about 1,000 of these buckets all over the country. That is a very, very, very good thing. I know say we MPs them also. Each of them take buckets, then take this sanitizers, all go to their own constituency then and go share, and they then go publicly speak to people. And I know say Dr. Yum Keller and Fode Mario over this last 2 days, them in Cambia, because Cambia are one of them places with very porous borders, then where we get very porous borders with Guinea. When I know say Guinea, then case is very, very high right now compared to Sierra Leone. And we share such a massive border with Guinea, and I know say people like Dr. Yum Keller in constituency get several chiefdoms away the border Guinea, and they go out regularly to them parts and they try for talk to the local man there, the local stakeholders there, the local youth man there, all about COVID. And then don't they do that quite a lot over this weekend. So from that point of view, NGC don't do quite a lot. Obviously, Dr. Yum Keller was also instrumental in Parliament for require some debate for go on about how prepared the nation is for deal with COVID. And I'm sure now because of that approach now we make when the government pushed for the state of emergency, even concede, because it want for cooperate with the government and the opposition parties in a bipartisan way. And it's good that Alan Tuboku Metsiga don't mention, when they look at the MP that we don't do good things there. The first example we cite now Dr. Yum Keller, so that tells you, say, the NGC is very, very active on the ground. But before me sign off, I really want to communicate a few things with people and let them make a distinction between Ebola and now. one of the things that we Salon people understand is when we been get Ebola, and there have been 3 countries that been get Ebola. So we been get, Guinea been get, and Liberia been get. And in effect, what may happen is the colonial masters then for each of them countries, then they put support into all of them countries. You know what I mean? So in Salon, we've been getting lots and lots of money, like hundreds of millions, where the British government put into Salon. We see all them British nurses, them, British Sierra Leoneans there as well. We come, British government send their army, then set up then Kerry Town and other places where they do all the Ebola treatment. The reality where we get right now is the world, this Western world in particular, where we did, they suffer from this corona. So the world not get for respond to Salon in the way it did during Ebola. That's one thing we need to understand. The world's response, because the world is already stretched. Every country is stretched financially. We were the UK, US, we know how our unemployment numbers and the rise. We know how we stock markets and the fall. We know how many people we don't lost their jobs. In America, for example, to 8 million. In the UK, potentially up to 2 million people. So what we get for realize is the world not get for respond if we play with Corona and Salon, and then it become a big problem. The world not get for respond in the same way. In the same way to governments, that kind of money where them in the pour into Salon during Ebola, it not get for happen. When during Ebola, we get an Ebola economy. The whole economy became an Ebola economy. It was everything was financed by economy. Because now I point there where Alan 2 minutes ago they talk about is how people is almost want for let this emergency drag on so that they can make money. The reason why make governments the reluctant forget other partners in, other political partners in, is because people say, there's an opportunity to make money. Yes, we know say the World Bank don't put some money into Sierra Leone. We know say the ADB self don't put some money and the IMF don't put some money. But Sierra Leone not going to become an Ebola economy. It's not going to become the same like it was during Ebola. We become an Ebola economy. There is not going to be that much money to come into Sierra Leone. So yes, so we need to understand in that context why we all need to come together and try to find solutions for solving problems. Waiting a lot of waiting I will talk about. When instead of really pulling people in together, instead of developing that sort of empathy towards one another. One of the fundamental things that happen now in the United States, in the UK, in France, then don't begin to ask themselves this question. When we come out of this pandemic, what do we want the world to look like? My worry in Salon is we will come out of this whole pandemic. Salon young boy there, young girl, they're not going to ask themselves that question there. Yeah? The market woman, they're not going to ask themselves that question there. The old man, they're not going to ask themselves that question there. And we go from this crisis to the next crisis. We not learn nothing. We not get the capacity for change, nothing. Because we not stop for ask ourselves the critical question. This emergency demands that we ask ourselves, whose kind of Salon we want to see when we come out of this emergency? If we not ask ourselves that question, because we not ask ourselves that question after Ebola, we not be ask ourselves that question after the mudslide, we not ask ourselves that question after the civil war. Because we not only ask ourselves that kind of question, we just make the same mistake time and time and time and time over and over and again. We have to ask ourselves, we young boy then, anybody where they under, say 30, una for come together. If una sit down at tire base, una come together, una begin asking ourselves the question, whose kind Salon we want for see? If una dey now una school, or when una go back to school, una university, una ask una self, whose kind Salon we want for see? Yeah. You see, because if una not the ask them question, then they una get there, una sit down, they watch English football or Spanish football, una ask una self, whose kind Salon una want for see? Because if you not ask them question, you one problem, I see happen so it go happen again, it go happen again, it go happen again. We're not going to learn from it at all. Family, I mean, what that?
All right, thank you, Mr. Alan Luke, and to all we people them we take them busy term for consider and talk as progressives to we people in a salon. And we will continue for the get programs like this, where we will bring come on different topic them. But because we all know say they like today, we get big wahala in our country, where we all for then unity and faith, that I make we there today. They talk on issues them we get for do with that. For make sure say we talk on things that we government fail pan and also people don't give plenty advice on waiting government for do. Well, Fambulema one for tell plenty thank you. We come Mr. Alan Luke, Ambassador Abu, Jesmed Suma, Iva Koroma, Alan Tuboku Meziga, Bashu Vandi, with Sister Janet Martha Musa for our contribution them. We tell una plenty thank you. We believe say the people of Sierra Leone will get the opportunity to go watch una, and we will make sure say we cut this video in bits so that then when we're not able to get access to big data like this, we're able to get some really one so the message will pass. I want for one more time tell una plenty thank you for come, and I hope for get una back now the studio, Kontri Fos online television, so that we go talk more about we country. God bless una and una tata.